Alrighty fans, welcome to another edition of Sports Chat. Lot to talk about this week on the high school front, quite a bit to talk about this week on the UT front. And there's some basketball going on, including Louisville versus Kentucky this evening.
Yeah, really hoping for a big Louisville win.
Calipari's never defeated Patino in a tournament setting, for what it's worth.
He finds ways to lose games when he shouldn't. He probably had the best players at least 3 times in the last 5 years. And of course, lost in the finals in Memphis when he just mind-blowingly blew a 9-point lead with 2 minutes to go. Then got beat in the Elite Eight with his team loaded with John Wall, Marcus Cousins, and everybody. He pretty much has 4 or 5 NBA picks on every team that he coaches lately. Never has got it done yet, so we're going to hope that streak continues. And, nothing will be sweeter than them actually losing to Louisville, who's, along with Tennessee, they're one of their 2 biggest rivals.
I mean, since the other teams they hate are out, Duke, North Carolina, Indiana.
And that said, I assume Kentucky's probably going to win the championship this year because they have that overwhelming with talent edge. And
You'll probably see the rare me pulling for Ohio State.
I kind of hope Kansas wins that game so I don't have to get in that situation.
Yeah.
Ohio State does have a lot of talent, though. Nobody has the talent level of Kentucky, but Calipari is usually when the coaching gets really high level, his record fades very quickly. He didn't have a great record against Bruce Pearl. You mentioned Patino's tournament record against him. He really has to have a vast talent edge to make up for his lack of coaching.
Of course, also, with all that going on, Lady Vols completely out of the tournament now. Pat Summitt's future very up in the air at this point.
Still hangs in the balance. She says she wants to come back, and at this point, I would just assume she will be back next year. I'm not sure in how much capacity, but that disease degenerates so quickly. Between now and next fall, there's no telling what state she'll be in.
If you look at her, even just 3-4 years ago to, really last year, before she was diagnosed, but after she had been afflicted, it's a stunning drop-off.
Yeah. The level of play has went down some at Tennessee, and the level of play around them has went up some with certain teams. This is the first time that she's ever had a senior class graduate since women's NCAA tournament started that didn't make the Final Four in their career.
That's telling. One positive from the Lady Vol front, at least former Lady Vol front, Tamika Catchings will be representing the U.S. in the Olympics.
Now, she proved out of that team. Everybody thought Shamika Holtzclaw would be the best pro player, and for a while she was, but she wasn't as dedicated to basketball as Catchings ended up being. And met Catchings several times. Very nice person. Has a hearing problem.
I'll tell you, she's hearing impaired.
She's extremely nice and really hard working girl.
I met her several times because that was when I was at UT.
She's a really good person. I'm glad to see her doing well as she's managed to do over these last 10 or 12 years since she left UT.
On the high school front, Lady Cougars picked up a big win over Cumberland Gap in softball.
They got a sweep with the JV and the varsity team. Both came with dramatic rallies. Megan Goodwin in the first game, and Randy Cole Hickman and a couple other girls had some timely hits. Managed to come down from, I think they were down 4-0 and ended up winning 6-4 with a 6-run rally.
Hickman's got some talent. She does. She's
a solid first baseman, makes the tough catches. We were up there today and it got rained out, but she made a tough catch. She had to stretch all the way out and do a full split from the bag and managed to get the girl out. In the second junior varsity game, they came back again and won. I believe Megan Goodman had an inside the park home run, maybe in that one. Maybe the game before. She had an inside the park home run this week. Jordan Doherty scored the winning run in that game, the JV game. They were down 8-5 against Claiborne County today when the rainstorm hit. That was the first game of the doubleheader.
And unfortunately, it rained so much that was the end.
They'd been up 5-0, so they were scoring some runs. Both teams were. They were getting ready to bat when the rainstorm hit, so you never know what was going to happen. I think they had a good chance to come back.
There's a lot of young talent on that team.
Yeah, most of them seem to be freshmen and sophomores. I mean, Hickman, she looks like the team leader, the best player, which you expected because she's a senior. But everybody else seems to be pretty young.
So that's hopefully bright future. I know particularly Jordan Darty and Megan Goodman have been playing for some time.
They've been playing the junior circuit during the summer leagues and such as that.
Of course, now we have a team that's the Campbell County Middle School team. They're not technically affiliated with the middle schools, but it's an actual feeder program. It's what they do in Knox County.
It's the age range in the middle school players. Lindsey Tomlin, catcher last year on the team. She's the head coach.
Jason Rutherford's former stand-up baseball player.
He's also coaching that team.
You know, I mean, he knows the fundamentals of the game. I mean, obviously, there's a few differences, pitching being the big one. But he was a very solid baseball player fundamentally, so you know he knows the game.
That'll help improve the team. You see how good the Knoxville teams are. That'll help improve the team a lot because Knoxville's had that advantage for years. And baseball team got a big win over Carnes this week.
They did. You know, Carnes, anytime you hit the road to play Carnes, it's tough. They did fall to Halls this week, but I mean, Halls is the cream of our district's baseball crop. They're playing on about the same level as Bearden and Farragut are the other district.
That was very impressive.
Those are good teams.
They're state championship level teams most of the time in baseball.
Track, Kristen Chapman and Shayla Goins are still just dominating. Shayla's out throwing people by 10 feet in the shot put, 20 feet in the discus. Kristen is gonna hit 5'9", or hit 5'10" probably this year, hopefully.
I fully expect Shayla to finish in the top 3 in the state this year. And I fully expect Kristen, of course, to win the state championship again, unless there's just some freakishly great high jumper out there somewhere. And if she doesn't, Kristen can probably win the triple jump state championship.
Also, the boys team, Cody Willoughby's doing really well in the field events. Kevin Ruan's doing really well in his events.
On the track side, the running side of it, they had to replace a lot of people this year.
Right.
Especially on the girls' side. And it's frankly because a lot of them got jobs and track meets come at the time you have to go to work.
Right, track meets are, I mean, they're an odd bird. You have a lot of them on Saturday mornings, and that's when a lot of high school students work.
The high schools are going to be working most Saturdays and at least a couple of days a week in the evenings usually. But Saturdays are almost the day they all have to work, and they just,
And what are you going to do?
you got to have money. You got to have gas money. You got to have insurance money when you're a teenager. It's a shame you don't get to play the sport. I don't begrudge them a bit for taking the job. Jobs are hard to come by now.
Some names to watch on the track team, freshman-wise. Dakota Dossett is looking like he's going to be a standout as he ages and matures. Finished 5th in the high jump at Knox West this week. On the other side, Rachel Nelson doing pretty well in the high jump, doing really well in the hurdles.
Yeah, the hurdles, they'll be wide open coming up shortly. Right now in the district, Kendra Miller pretty much dominates those events, but she's a senior.
If you want to see how hurdling is done, she literally has about the most perfect form I've ever seen on a high schooler.
She looks, like you look when you're at the college level or even Olympic level as far as form goes.
Also, on the spring sports front, tennis teams still, playing. They've had some players that are starting to really pick up their game.
Yeah, starting to get some victories. They were a little rusty at the first of the year. That can be expected. They also had a pretty big turnover on the tennis team early in the year.
Especially on the girls' team.
A few of them came back. They're starting to play better, doing pretty well. They don't, unfortunately, as the issue we've talked about so many times before, they don't really get home tennis matches.
Right, and we're getting tennis courts in theory still, so that should That should change a lot. I mean, a lot of the places in Knoxville don't have home courts either, but they either play at West Hills Country Club or Smoking That Tennis Academy or Tyson Park.
You have to have, I think, 6 or 7 courts or something along those lines to be able to do it.
Right.
Maybe 4, maybe the minimum. But here, you have to split it up between the park and downtown.
And it's just not feasible for a lot of teams.
Yeah, most teams don't want to do that, so they would just simply take a forfeit as actually come up here.
Most teams won't even agree to schedule a home match.
I think they only had one scheduled this year.
And it got rained out. But, you know, that's still, it's, you know, spring sports is a long way to go. This week, pretty sure Campbell County's going to be running to Anderson County. So that'd give you all a chance to go check out a track meet live. I know the baseball and softball teams are both playing at home this week.
You got plenty of opportunities to go see spring sports. They're going for the next month and a half.
Yeah. I mean, the spring fling, the championships don't happen until the week of May 23rd.
But I'll say this, the kids really enjoy it when you come out and cheer for them.
They do. And baseball and softball actually have a good turnout because they have a lot of home games. They have a good setup. Track's kind of tough because we only do the one home meet. And, you know, you feel like you're not really in on the action in those bleachers because it's so spread out. But it's really worth coming and watching a track meet if you've never been.
Yeah.
Tennis, the biggest problem in tennis a lot of times is a bring your own seat.
Well, there's no seating at tennis
Yeah.
matches. I mean, you just have to stand around the field.
And at West Hills, I think there's a little bit of seating.
It's still nice to go watch them play, you know, support the team. But everybody should check at least something out this spring.
Of course, spring football practice is right around the corner.
It's already started at UT. It's already started with a controversial.
Of course, Derek Rogers, this year's Jansen Jackson.
You know, he's been in just all kinds of messes the last 6 months or whatever, and every bad story that crops up is coming up has been about him. He's a vitally important player that you really need out there. He's a very good player. But you really, if half the stuff they're saying is true, I don't really see how you can
He's really moving to the stage of cancerous tumor on the team.
I mean, it comes to the point where people have to be saying, look, the only reason he's getting away with this is because he's a star player.
Right.
And apparently they said it was reported in the News Sentinel that he physically threatened the strength coach. I mean, that should never happen. You know, if I was if I were a head coach, I don't care who it was, if you actually verbally threatened one of my coaches in an angry way, I would kick you off the team immediately. You'd be told your scholarship's gone, you're off the team, you're done.
Absolutely. So, hopefully, the situation resolves itself soon, one way or the other.
Apparently, he was supposed to be at practice today. We'll see if he showed up. There's a big rumor going around that he was going to transfer to Georgia State.
But UT plays this year.
UT plays. They're a lower division school, so he can transfer there without penalty and play immediately.
And would probably be very dominating there against most of the teams they play.
I would have to imagine that he would, unless he just took his cancerous attitude with him. And, you know, I hate to see it because he's exceptionally talented. I mean, the guy. And it kills me that these people are so stupid. It's like Travis Henry and his drug smuggling. The guy had an $80 million contract on smuggling drugs. Or a $50 million contract, something like that. Multi-million-dollar contract. There's multi-millionaires, and they just make dumb decisions. I mean, Derek Rogers, he can be a multi-millionaire if he will just keep his head on straight and be willing to do a little bit of work the next year.
I mean, let's look at Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, that's sort of out today. He apparently blew all of his money he got from the draft, which I imagine was at least a few $1 million.
Well, I mean, he signed the contract at the same time as Peyton Manning, one pick behind him. Was at one point, you know, some people wondered if the Colts made the right decision.
Yeah, that
turns out they did.
Usually the right one. You know, he made millions of dollars, and he was arrested today for burglary and drug possession. He just stupid. They don't manage their money. They make dumb decisions. And I don't understand. Most of them don't, but it's the ones that do that stand out. Like I say, Rogers is right at the cusp right now. He could be, after this year, and he should have a good year if he plays. You know, if Bray stays healthy with Hunter back in there, because he was much better when Hunter's taking a lot of pressure off of Rogers and he's over there alone. He's a first-round draft pick. and that's worth millions of dollars.
Well, yeah, he's the prototypical Terrell Owens receiver. Apparently, the attitude comes with that.
You know, Rodgers, if you're a first round pick, your bonuses are in the millions of dollars. Once you go beyond the first round, they start. You're lucky to get half that in the second round.
And by the time you get down to the third round, bonuses aren't
Third
really
round,
an issue.
a couple $100,000 is what you're going from a $2 to $3 million bonus to $200,000 to $300,000 by the end, and then you get later in the rounds and it's only $60,000 to $70,000. But literally, your attitude and dedication and everything plays into your NFL. It's not just how fast you can run or how high you can jump. It's a lot of it to do with your attitude and what a coach thinks he can do with you, whether they want you or not, and that costs you on the draft board.
While we're on the subject of pros, Sean Payton is A, appealing his suspension, and B, has turned to Bill Parcells.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not sure what Parcells will do. He may take it. He's not already taken it as far as I know.
He's not that I know of.
I thought he was in a front office position with Miami, but he may have retired from that. He's pretty old.
I would say he's long in the
close to
tooth.
70 at this point. I'm not sure how willing he'd be to do something for a year. He might be. Peyton, his suspension's probably not going to get lessened any. I wouldn't imagine it. Maybe if he gets lucky, maybe 12 games or something. But I can imagine he'll get the coach this year. The NFL wanted to set a heavy standard with this. They pretty much did. They nailed him.
That's pretty much the big NFL news now that the Peyton.
The other
Thing
thing is he has to play it this way, but the idiot Colts owner, who's stupid, is now saying he may select Robert Griffin III with the draft pick first. He's not going to. He's going to pick Andrew Luck. But some people say that there's two schools of thought on this. You should immediately start negotiating with Andrew Luck and try to get him wrapped up by the time the draft happens. And the other school of thought is, well, you talk like you're going to pick Robert Griffin III to give yourself some leverage in any kind of talk. So it's a fine edge to walk. You risk having them pulling the Elway on you.
I would say the Colts are in a precarious position, quarterback-wise. I mean, what if they draft either of those guys and I don't want to play here?
That's pretty much what Eli Manning told San Diego before they drafted him. That's why he ended up in New York.
Granted, it worked out well for Eli.
It worked out wonderfully. Yeah, he 2 Super Bowls, and San Diego still hasn't won anything. San Diego foolishly gave up Drew Brees, and they got a good quarterback in Rivers, but Brees went on to win a Super Bowl. The other quarterback they could have had, Manning, won 2 Super Bowls. So,
of course, they could have. There's when we talk about the Ryan Leaf thing, there was that chance they were going to get Peyton.
Well, the Colts did have the first pick that year.
Yeah.
It was never that close in any Tennessee fans' mind. There were a few people, like Jim Rome for years was a big Peyton Manning is a bum. You got to pick.
Of course, Jim Rome got the crap beat out of him by Jim Everett once. So.
Yeah, he was coming to Chris Everett and it didn't work out that well for him.
Yeah.
But Rome actually came on a few years ago and said, I apologize to Peyton Manning. I was wrong. You're a Hall of Famer, Ryan Leaf said.
That says a lot when Jim Rome says that too, because he's not the type. I mean, he's the Rush Limbaugh of sports talk radio. He's going to say offensive stuff and not care.
He does like to push buttons about things like that, but he did say he admitted he was wrong, and he was. And I'm pretty sure the Colts, they're wrong on this one. But you do what you have to do. I can imagine Luck being as good as a lot of people are saying. He may be. I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, that's one of those things. Time will tell.
He's surrounded by not much talent anymore since the team just bailed once Manning.
I imagine that Pierre Garcon, since Peyton Manning, a thank you note daily.
A lot of those guys should. It's pretty much the Peyton Manning offense. So Tebow, he's ended up in New Jersey.
Now he has to play the Patriots twice a year.
A lot of speculations of whether he'll even get a play or not. I'm sure Mark Sanchez is just, might as well. He got that big contract, so he's making like $10 or $12 million a year. I would ride that as long as I could.
Oh, absolutely.
The fans will be clamoring for Tebow as soon as anything happens, and nobody wants Tebow because he can play football. They like Tebow's religion and his practice of it on the football field.
He does sell jerseys.
Which apparently I saw a story the other day. Reebok lost the NFL jersey contract starting in March.
Right.
They lost it in March, but Nike bought it, and April the 1st, Nike's contract comes into effect.
But they're already making.
But Reebok rushed out and made a bunch of number 15 Tim Tebow Jets jerseys and put them in stores. And Nike is suing them over it and wants all the money for it. Even though technically it's odd because it said the Reebok contract ran out at the 1st of March and Nike didn't start till April the 1st.
So there's that strange limbo period where nobody's making
jerseys.
jerseys.
A month where nobody could make jerseys. But they said that Reebok preemptively took away their jersey market. Literally, because, New York plays in New Jersey. But both New York teams play in New Jersey. It never made much sense to me.
No.
There's not that much space in New York to do anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, unless you want to play at Yankee Stadium or Met Stadium.
Yankees, they did host the Army-Navy game several years there. I think a Notre Dame Army game or something along those lines.
But I mean, there's nowhere to put a big football stadium in New York City. So unfortunately, you have to come to New Jersey, the Garden State.
The repairman Jack is from New Jersey, so
that's true.
There's that one.
Fans, that's pretty much all we got this week. Hopefully we'll see you at some track meets, softball and baseball next week. And the next week a tennis match, because I don't think there is no tennis this week. We'll see you next time.